This is another drive-by with Don. Call this breaking the sound barrier. I just had a meeting with two business owners, and they're talking about making a lot of changes. A lot of the changes have to do with changing people out that aren't doing a good job, or trying to change the perception, the behaviors of people that actually need to be doing a lot better. And then the owners are actually looking at kind of transitioning the relationship between themselves. One would like to kind of go into semi-retirement. And so in the course of looking at this, one of the things we talked about was Chuck Yager. And Chuck Yager broke the sound barrier years back. And if you watched the movie at all or read the book, he was in the airplane and it was shaking. It was starting to break apart. And as he went faster and faster towards that sound barrier, it just kept getting worse. And then all of a sudden there was a loud kaboom. He broke the sound barrier. And what they didn't know at the time was that instead of the plane shaking apart and it getting worse and worse and worse and him dying, all of a sudden the ride just smoothed out. It became smooth as silk. And he gives a big yell over the radio, and he'd broken the sound barrier, done something that nobody had ever done. There was a lot of fear in doing it. There was a lot of logical supposition and extrapolation that basically said the shaking, there was no way to break the sound barrier, but they did. And that changed the course of a lot of things. The reason I mention this is in our discussion with these business owners, they were talking how difficult it would be, how it would be viewed by the employees, so on and so forth. And one thing we asked was, when you look back at other changes you've been through, what have they been like? The way they started describing the changes were that it was shaking, it was difficult, it was scary, but then it smoothed on out and actually ended up being a better world after the change. And we didn't have to worry as much before as we did. It would have saved us a lot of time not worrying about it. So I thought that was kind of an interesting analogy, and that made me think of breaking the sound barrier. Too often we don't break the sound barrier in our businesses because we're spending too much time worrying about what might happen instead of taking it up to that point, making it occur. And not always, but 9 times out of 10, we find all of a sudden things smooth out and it's a whole different world. So are you breaking the sound barrier in your business?